Hello, this is Liz with Crafty Devotion. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this beautiful, lovely silk flower. I have just put various centers in them, made them slightly different sizes. This is closer to a 4-inch and this one's closer to a 3-inch. I also have this beautiful white silk flower. I used fabric. I found this fabric at a secondhand store. It was a cute little dress, and it's actually brand new. It didn't look like it was ever used. It looked brand new. It has a little bow. It's like some type of a kimono or sleep gown, but it says it's 100% silk. And I just loved the colors. I paid, actually I think it was like 25% off or something, but I paid $1.80 for it. And I only have so much of this fabric. It was very interesting. It has like this stretchy connection here with elastic. So it is very beautiful. Beautiful fabric. So first thing I want you to do is to cut your fabric. When I cut my fabric, I did learn that the silk will tear. It tears very well and it makes it very even. So try tearing your fabric. It really does make life easier when you can tear it. I don't always have all my cutting equipment out. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your fabric and we will line up one edge here. And we are going to wrap it around 2 fingers. So take 2 fingers, I go here and I put it here, and I wrap here and I kind of hold it with my thumb to start, and I do a little snug, and then I start wrapping here. And then you keep this part close. Don't wrap it so tight that you're not going to be able to get it off. The size of your fabric, your fingers doesn't matter much, because really this is not an exact flower. You're going to find that you'll love the effect you get from this technique. This is a technique that I discovered while I was creating and designing things myself. I was trying to create some shabby chic flowers with no sewing, and when I did that, I figured out that I can use this technique. Okay, now what I do usually is I'll line this up. You can see it's not cut completely correctly, but I will take, if you want you can cut that straight, but I usually just trim the corner here, just a small little corner, take it off, the little corner on the other side. I have various videos out, and I do show you more tricks to doing this in my other videos. You have to look at them if this is too difficult for you to understand. All I'm doing is rounding it. That's really my goal. And then here on the side, I trim it. Now, I want to try to leave about a thumb's width or about an inch there. I'm not cutting it all the way apart. Make sure you don't cut it all the way apart. Okay, on the other side, you also do the same thing. Since this is the only fabric I have, I'm very careful with it. I'm trying not to waste it. So I'm not cutting it very small. I'm trying to keep it, because I don't think I will purchase silk fabric unless I find a nice bargain again. But so that's what you do, and then it comes off like this, and you can see the connection here. It's not totally even or anything. The petals are not totally perfectly shaped. You're going to melt these petals, so perfection is not important. When you come to the end, this was the inside, and usually since I make sure the outside is straight, A lot of times the inside is a slightly crooked, so I just cut that little bit off. That's slightly crooked. There we go. Now, the next thing you will need is you will need a hairpin. Today I'm using the larger hairpin. My strip of fabric was about 3.5 inches wide and about 23 inches long. That's because that's how long the dress was. But you can cut the length of it to about 12 inches and your flower will come out approximately the same size but will not be as fluffy. So you take your hairpin and you put it down the center of your fabric until you have all your fabric on the pin. Okay, I have all my fabric on my pin. Oh, I got a little bit left because I let it go. It's at this point that I look at my edges and I try to see if they're all even. You can see this one and this one. This is a shorter one. And I usually just pull on it so that they're about the same. This is the point I like to melt it. Now this process takes a very long time. I'm saying it's gonna, I don't know, it could take you a half hour or 15 minutes. But I find that actually melting it on the pin is my favorite way of melting. I'm keeping this fabric about 1 inch from the flame. And you can see here this one, compared to these over here, it actually has a small little melt on it. And I like to melt the edges first, all of the edges a bit, to make sure that I'm not getting frays. You can melt it again after you put it completely together if you see some that are not melted. I find that I like to do it this way because it really, just to me, it simplifies it for me. The other way, I feel like the fabric's falling. You can also put your candle in a candle holder so that you can concentrate your flame. But remember, it is the heat that's dispersing upward, that's going upward, that is melting your fabric. It is not the flame. The flame is making the heat that is coming upward. So you need to stay about 1 inch to 2 inches, depending on how large your flame is. And when you're melting it, instead of getting closer, keep it still. So like here, I also melt this part of my petal. So I'm going to take this petal right here. See that petal? I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it over the flame and I'm going to keep it there until I see it melt. You cannot see this process happening because of the angle, but I keep it there until I see it crinkle. Now look at it. Here, it's right here. I'm not going to take the time to do the entire thing on camera. I'm going to go off camera and finish melting my flower so that I can show you the next step. Okay, I've melted my fabric enough. At this point, I kind of recheck it again to see if it's off, way off, because you've been melting it. And I actually will sometimes pull out some of the petals, pull them down so that I can melt them. There we go. And then what you're going to need next is a string. I have a cotton string. If you see, I usually take it and I put it right between the prong of my pin, and then I take it to the back. And the other thing I've learned, I'm going to hold it up so you can see, is that I twirl it. I put it in there once, like if you're tying your shoes, but I do it one more time. I found that this actually helps it to stay snug once I get it snug. So it'll actually keep it as tight, as snug as I need it to be. Now don't pull it so tight that you're going to break your string. But pull out your pin at this point, and then I pull it tight. And you'll see that they kind of fold forward, the petals. That is part of what gives these flowers this full, beautiful full look with just without having to mess with every single petal. Okay, so that's the bottom. Now the top. So what I do here, you see it's slightly misshapen. I kind of pull up a little, and I open up my petals. I just do this, just twist it around, and you'll see that it just looks like a beautiful flower. That is just beautiful. This one happens to have a lot more white on it than my other flowers, but you see, now I see that this one's a little bit sticking out, so sometimes I'll go and I'll say, well, on this side, pull it up a little bit. Any that I see that are small, I kind of go and just make sure they're kind of even. You can actually trim the petal off too if you feel like it looks a little bit long. I'm actually, a lot of the times when they look long, it's because you may have missed, like this one. See, I missed melting it. So I will actually do one more melt before I'm actually done with this. And I will take my candle, and I'll go like this, pull out the one petal, only the one. See, that's why I like to do it this way, because I actually can have something to grab onto instead of a fabric that's just floating all over the place when you have a long strip. So I hope you are inspired to try to use your silk to make a beautiful flower. This is Liz with Crafty Devotion. Please share my videos with your friends, share them on Facebook, and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up.